Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody. My name is John Fulton, and I'm here with Mark Bridger, my partner in crime. We're going to be going through the June 2026 SmartSimple release. Very excited to present to you a wealth of features that we've provided in this release. Again, with this major release, there are some very significant enhancements. But without any further ado, I'm just going to jump right in it. I'm going to walk through just a few slides. And I think actually, I'm not even sharing my screen. Hold on. All right. So hopefully everybody can see the presentation. And again, I'm just going to jump right into it because we want to make sure we have time for Mark to go through a live demo and give everybody the chance to ask any questions. So with that said, agenda, we'll just quick introduction, which we did. I'm going to walk through just a few of the key roadmap themes to give everybody a perspective of, over the overarching themes that we're focused on across the releases, and then we'll dive into specific themes of this June release and some of the key features, and then we'll hand it over to Mark for a live demo and finish with Q&A. So in terms of roadmap themes, and you may have seen some of these in past sessions, and these continue to be sort of the four primary pillars of our focus with SmartSimple and our vision and direction. One being transparency and collaboration. We continue to make an effort to ensure that we are collaborating, engaging with you, our customers, our partners, to get feedback. We have the Idea Lab that we launched this past year, along with the roadmap that's also posted on the Idea Lab, which I'll be updating here shortly to reflect what's going to be planned in the next few releases. We've had a number of client events. We just had our Unite event in Scotland last month, I think. I've lost track of time. And had another major event at the end of last year, towards the end of last year in San Diego. So a lot of great events along with the Connect events that we've had. We've held a number of betas and workshops, again, to formally drive more engagement communication. And I feel like we have a really good communication with our customers to really understand their day-to-day challenges and where the opportunities are to make the biggest impact. Mark and our offices are always virtually open, so if you guys have any feedback, any questions, you can feel free to reach out to us directly. But we do encourage you to use the Idea Lab, which we review on a weekly basis, to review and respond to ideas and prioritize them. The other big area is our innovation in AI. You're going to see in today's session some of the major enhancements that we made specifically with AI, where we've shifted our focus away from more of a platform set of AI capabilities to a more purpose-built set of out-of-the-box capabilities for quicker time to value. You'll see those with both our application scoring and AI summarization capabilities. We're also focused on data and AI interoperability. We know people have other tools and technologies. We want to be able to support those, but then most importantly, our foundation is ethical and secure foundations, meaning none of the information that we are leveraging for AI will go outside the environment. None of it will be used for learning with any third-party tools. Everything remains secure. You have the ability to opt in or opt out of AI. So everybody has that option if they choose to do so. And again, we'll get into some more details of those enhancements as we go through today's session. We continue to focus on the user experience. What we find with SmartSimple is it's extremely powerful platform, highly configurable, but at the same time, that could add some complexity. So we continue to focus on some of those high traffic areas where we feel there's an opportunity to streamline and simplify capabilities, similar to what we did with the report and email reminder capabilities that we introduced a few releases ago. We've really focused on some of the other areas around list view capabilities, and we're also looking at report builder based on feedback we've gotten from customers. So excited about some of those improvements to really simplify and streamline the use of the solution to make it more intuitive, which takes us to our last and final and one of our more critical pillars is around simplifying complexity, which really sort of spans everything here. We really want to identify how we can reduce that complexity, be able to give you, our customers and our partners, the ability to deliver quicker, to provide the ability to leverage configuration, but potentially reduce the lift that's currently involved in some of those areas. Now, when we get into the June release, we dive sort of down a level there with the release. There's sort of three key themes that we're looking at. One is the AI-powered reviews. This is specific to the new GA capability we're introducing around AI scoring that gives you the ability to define the criteria, the scaling and scoring, the data and information that you want to leverage, and provide those kind of metrics. And again, the key here that we'll continue to reinforce is that the intent here is not for the AI scoring to make the final decision, but it's to help organizations manage the typically overwhelming amount of applications that are coming in, define the criteria to identify, what should qualify and what shouldn't, and provide some scoring capabilities so you can focus on those applications that more likely meet the criteria, but also can have the biggest impact for the investment that you're making in the communities. Governance and controls, another area we're excited about introducing our configuration change management capability, which is tied to our T2P, or our test to production feature. This test to production feature was only available up until this release for customers on dedicated environments. This is now available as a separate option for customers, and you'll need to contact your SmartSimple representative. We'll get into more details as we go today. But it's a separate option that will allow anybody, including anybody on our standard model or hosted model, to leverage this feature, meaning that you can have additional non-production instances to test your configurations and then port them to production once tested. So it strengthens your change management capabilities and reduces the risk when you're moving from test to production when new releases come out. And then lastly, speed and access. Again, a number of key features that we're focused on really around being more intuitive, delivering quicker time to value. The global search is going to give you the ability to search across, all your modules, UTAs, file preview. You no longer have to download files to preview those. And then more on the technical side and integration side, the data extraction API, which now gives our customers and partners a more efficient way of targeting and pulling data, which we'll get into in more detail as we go throughout the session today. So just quickly before we jump into the demo, just again to highlight some of the key features that Mark's going to walk through in the demo today. The AI-powered application analysis, application scoring capabilities. I mentioned it's the ability for you to define the criteria, for you to define the scoring and the scaling, identifying the information that you want to pull in to base the scoring and scaling on, in addition to the applications, and provide you with that quick summary of what meets the criteria, what doesn't meet the criteria, and again, sort of filter out some of the noise to focus on those that are qualified to be reviewed. The summary capability is built into the analysis, and that as part of the scoring, you have the option to provide a quick summary. And again, the key difference here today with our direction with AI versus our older direction is it's more built out of the box, built for purpose. Where in the case of application summary, we're giving you a few configuration options to identify the information that you want to include in the summary versus having to always create prompts for every AI summarization interaction that you've had up to this point. So it really reduces that burden and gives you the ability to quickly leverage these tools without ultimately leveraging somebody that's more technical. On the platform and governance side, I mentioned the configuration change management capability, now universal, meaning that every customer has the option for this. It's included automatically for those on the dedicated server for the hosting, but for the customers on the standard shared model, it is now an option that you can purchase to have the ability to get additional non-production instances and leverage the T2P test to production capability to be able to move configurations from non-production to production. And again, Mark will walk through a demo there. I mentioned the global search capability where prior to this release, if you would want to do a search, you didn't have the ability to search across all your modules or UTAs. If you're looking for an individual or location, organization, whatever it might be, you now have that ability to do a global search. And we've added some really nice features within that global search that allow you to be very precise with the results that, again, Mark will highlight in a demo today. File preview. The prior to this release, with a lot of these files, you had to actually download them to view them, and we've implemented a mechanism for PDF, Word, Excel, and other image files, JPEG, for example, that allow you to preview those without actually having to download them. So just much quicker access, just a better user experience when trying to review files without having to download them. Both the global search and file preview were two of the top Idea Lab items in the Idea Lab. So excited to get those off the list and get the feedback with this June release. And then lastly, the Outlook add-in capability. This add-in capability is for those customers using Outlook that instead of having to cut and paste, text, from Outlook to create an interaction, the Outlook plugin gives you the ability to automatically create that interaction from within Outlook without having to do the cut and paste. So very, again, great user experience. And it allows you to build out that CRM type of information to give you a better 360-degree view of your contacts and organizations to make better decisions. And then lastly, before jumping into the demo, I wanted to highlight, again, this is much more of a technical type of enhancement, but for those of you that are doing any kind of integration or exports, we've had cases of customers that with some of the limitations today, they would have to do a complete data export of all of their data. And sometimes they would do this on a nightly basis. And because of the volume of data, it may take many hours to do that. This new API, data extraction API, gives you the ability to be very precise as to exactly what information you want to extract. It could be all the changes on an organization or contact in the last 24 hours. Whatever the object is and whatever the change and time frame is, you can be very precise. So you're only extracting and integrating and passing information that's minimally needed, which in the case of the example I gave you earlier, reduces that multiple hour integration process down to potentially seconds or minutes. Again, very technical. I mentioned incremental exports, field and record targeting, as I mentioned. There is a level of logging so you can see what was successful and what's not. And then we have our open API documents so that you can see those details around the APIs. Lastly, 3 notable updates. There's the T2P rollback support, as I mentioned, with the configuration change management. And for those customers that have it today on the dedicated environment, you now have the ability with T2P to do a rollback, which you didn't have before. So that, if you accidentally, make a change and you need to revert it, you have that ability to do it. For those customers, we may have a few here in the Australia region. We've enhanced the ABM verification capabilities to add some additional attributes just to enrich that service that we offer today. And then for those customers that are doing, running large reports, we continue to incorporate our Smart Search capability, which is really a back-end offline query data flattening capability that helps more efficiently process the data. So in the case of reports, if you have very large reports and you enable Smart Search, you can significantly reduce the amount of time processing those reports because the data has already been pre-flattened for you. All right, with that said, I know I went through it quickly. I want to make sure I give time to Mark to walk through the demo and then also make sure we have time for Q&A. So I'll pass it over to Mark.
Thank you very much, John. If you stop sharing your screen, I'm going to start sharing mine. There we are. Perfect. All right. Hello, everybody. All right, first thing I want to talk about is our release notes, which used to live on the wiki. If you go to the wiki now and you go to upgrades, you'll see a note that will refer you to our support hub. All of our wiki information is going to be moving from the wiki over into support hub uh, going forward, and we've got a team dedicated to revamping a lot of this content and getting it up there. So again, you'll see that there's a link. You can go right to the kind of release notes page, or you can go directly to the June release notes. So I'm going to jump in right away. Right, to the release notes. So first thing I want to show you, let me jump in here. Sorry, the release notes are, there they are. So here's my release notes. Um, Again, if you're on the key release, you've been upgraded this morning. When you go into your backup systems, you can test there and you can see what is in this release. So everything I'm covering here will be there for you. You will get it in approximately 2 weeks, so June 18th. Those of you who are outside the key release, so most of our European and some of our larger North American clients, will get that July 9th. One thing I want to highlight about this June release as well as the May release is that uh, if you're on a dedicated, those are clients that are on the dedicated hosting, you do need to coordinate that with us currently because there's some back-end server infrastructure changes that are happening along with that upgrade. Again, if you're on dedicated and you're about to go up to May or June, do please reach out to us and kind of coordinate that to make sure that we apply those changes at the same time. John did a great job of going through the highlights, so I'm going to skip over those and just start talking about the things that are going to happen automatically. So let's talk about the global changes that everyone's going to see, and then I'll get to the more fun stuff, which is always the stuff that you can opt into. So let's start with our file viewer. So as John mentioned, previously instead of downloading files now, so I've got Excel documents here, I can click them and preview them right in line now. Same with images. This is just a regular upload field. I can come here into the images, I can zoom in, I can scroll around, I can go to other pages. Same with Word, same with PDFs. So again, file viewing built in right now. You just click on the file name on a regular upload field, and you'll generate a preview. So again, no downloading. Again, highly recommended in our Idea Lab. And so now it's here. The next thing is our kind of new record page view. Previously, you would have seen back in October when I think we introduced this, we had a toggle up here where you could switch between the new look and the old look. This is the new look with the wider left navigation. Things have changed. The next and back are down here. The overall look has changed. In this release, it'll become standard for everyone with no option to opt out. So again, that's just the new look. Next thing I want to talk about is the notes. So a few upgrades ago, we mentioned how notes we had threading, and you could reply to notes. So here I've got a note where I'm asking my applicant to submit their reports about their progress, and now they've done it. So basically, as I go through, I make a note to them. They can comment back. In this release, every time someone comments on my thread, I'm now going to get a notification, which will appear up under this. So if I see this here, I can see he had responded to me. I can click on that right away, and I can go see, oh yeah, this is the thread where someone came in and responded to my note. So again, you don't have to set up workflows anymore for all these notes to notify people because automatically you'll get notified. Now, if you're getting too many notifications around these things where you're not interested anymore, I can come here and I can mute this, and then I won't receive any more notifications around this. I also have a few other options. If I go to the note type itself, well, actually, first I'll go to my personal settings here. So if I go to my personal settings, again, I can kind of control how I'm being notified. So again, do I want to get system notifications, which will show up underneath the bell? Do I want to get an email? So again, if I don't want to get emails, or I only want to get emails, or I want neither, I can personally turn those off under my personal settings. And then I'll go back into the notes types themselves. So a lot of people out there may have configured their note types with workflows that then send off an email to let people know that, hey, someone sent you a note. You don't really have to do that anymore. If I come down in here to note types, then I go into a note itself. We do have new settings as well. So again, if I put a note in there and someone replies to me, I'm automatically get notified. If I reply to them, they're automatically get notified. But if I wanted to, I could basically say also, I could say every note that goes from the foundation to the applicant or from the applicant to the note to the foundation, I can say I also want myself to get a copy of that. So I can have that ability. And on top of that, we can also use syntax. So I can say I always want the owner of this record to also get a notification, even if they're not in the thread at all. So again, we have these more robust options. So if you do have a workflow that's set up to send out emails, you probably don't need it anymore. It's very easy to, if I had a workflow here set up, it's very easy. You could just disable that workflow if you don't need it anymore. Just go back to select one, for example. So that's the notes. Just wanted to highlight those. While we're talking about viewing files, we talked file preview. We also enhanced the media library a little bit. So here I've got a media library, which is really intended for videos, images, audio files, where you can play those videos and audio files inline. Whereas the normal upload field is more intended for documents, such as Excel, you know, Word documents, PDFs, those kind of things. Although you can put images in here as well. So down here I have the media library. If I click on the media library, the thing that's changed is we've now added this carousel. So again, instead of opening and closing each one, I can jump between all the images, just like that. The next thing I'm going to talk about is our test production tool. And John briefly touched on this configuration change management, how you move stuff from development to your test server. You can test that out, and then you can promote it up to your production. Really a nice kind of controlled way of making those changes and deploying those or promoting those across your different environments. And again, as you mentioned, previously you had to be on dedicated to do this. Now it's a standard offering. So if you're interested in it, you can kind of reach out to our CS team. But let me show you how this works. So let's say I went in, I made a configuration change, I maybe add a custom field or whatever. Once I've done that and it's assigned to my project, I can come in here, I pick my project, I click search, and you can see all the changes that I've made that haven't been promoted yet. So here's all my changes. You can see they haven't been promoted yet. So if I want, I can say export all these changes. I'm happy with them. Or I can take a subset of them, add it to my stage changes, which will appear down here, and then I can export just the stage changes. Now, once I've done that, I've got this is actually another system. The URL is different. You have to trust me there if you can't read that, but it's a different system. So that package gets sent. It comes to the second system here I've got, and then I can look at these. Now, I've already promoted these, but it would come in here being ready for promotion. I'd go and look at it, and I would promote this. Now, in this release, one of the things we've added is this rollback ability. So again, let's say I've pushed this to my testing server. I've tested it, and it's like, no, I'm not ready. Or maybe I've done it to my production. It's like, no, I'm not truly happy with this package. I can click this rollback, and it will undo all those changes for me, bring it back to the state it was before. And then maybe I can promote a different package or change it in some way. But it gives you a quick and easy way to kind of roll out those changes back if you weren't happy with those configurations that you promoted. All right. Two things that I want to mention about some deprecations. We did deprecate the work with AI. So this was something on the record pages themselves. So if you're on a record page, you used to have an ability here where you could launch a modal window, which just allowed you to kind of chat freeform with the AI. Also the AI insights, which never made it a beta. That one has been deprecated, and our attribute matching has been deprecated. So those are the things that are going to happen automatically. Again, if you have any questions, throw them in the Q&A. I know I'm going a little quick, but I want to save time to really answer any questions you have. So onto the more fun stuff.
Hey, Mark, just quick question, just in
Yeah,
context. There was a question about show me where the media library is again on a record.
sure. Sure. All right, let me go into here. So, let me go to a different one here. So, I'll go into this one. All right. So here we have an upload field. So I'll just show you first off for context. So this is a regular upload field. So upload multiple file storage. Okay. And then there's an option. If again, this is an add-on service, but if you've chosen your media library, it's an option on that field. So I'll have it on here. So this one it's again, you can see it's an upload multiple file storage. Um, but I will have turned on Enable Media Library. Now, again, this is an add-on feature, but if you've subscribed to it, you can enable this on any of your fields and turn those upload fields into media library fields where uh, you can then what do you call it? Stream your media. So your videos, your audios, you can play them kind of inline while you're reviewing. Um, I don't go down a little rabbit hole here. I think I've got another one in here. Let me just see if I've got one more, not where I've got a video file in here so I can show you. So yeah, here's one of the video files. So again, I've got a video file on this record here. Oh, sorry, my bad. This is my test server. Anyway, you can play it inline. You can move it around. I can navigate while it's running. But that's how you turn that on, if that helps.
Yep. And just two other quick questions
Mhm.
somewhat related to a prior topic around file preview. Is there a way to enforce file preview and disable the ability to download files?
Currently, you can't disable the ability to download files. If you are able to upload them or see them, you are able to download them. That's a good idea for the Idea Lab if that's something that you want to disable the ability to download. But no, you can preview them um, just like I've done here. You can download them again through, if I click this, it gives me the option to download. Again, if I want that's download in bulk. I can download individually from here. And then as I was showing you, if you click on it, you also have the ability to download here. So again, adding the ability to prevent downloads is something we could obviously look at. I would suggest a Idea Lab for that suggestion.
Yep. And then one other question regarding file viewing. Does this mean the files I will now be directly, I'm sorry, does this mean the files will now be directly incorporated into Smart Fields View PDFs?
No. So what does happen behind the scenes is that we're taking these files that you've uploaded, either the JPEG, like I said, documents, Excel files, and we're converting them to a PDF, and then you're previewing that generated PDF when you click the file name. You know, if it's another file type that isn't one of these, you won't get a preview for those. They'll just download like they used to. But no, they don't automatically just show up in Smart Fields, if that's the question. This is just for viewing from the field itself.
Okay, that's it. Thanks.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to go on to some of the things that are more opt-in. I'm going to start with the application analysis here. So application analysis, as John said, great way. I guess actually we'll go back to the list view here. It's a really great way to define your own criteria and then see the applications that meet the criteria you've defined as best so that you can prioritize when your reviewers come in. They might want to look at ones that seem to align better with the criteria you defined than some of the ones that didn't look like they were a good fit right off the bat. So here I've got a list view that's based on the scores, and I've sorted those scores accordingly. If I go into one again here, I have this tab called Application Analysis. Um, and on that tab, it's going to give you a score out of 10. So like this one got a 4.3. It tells you a brief summary of what this application is about. And I can see a scoring visualization of it. So I can see how did this application do versus what my ideal application for this program was. And if I look at it, I can see, for example, this application seemed a bit weak on monitoring and evaluation. Also, the financial controls might be something I want to look at. So again, I can kind of see up here how this one scored versus how it could have scored. I can also see the scoring history because over time, as my applicant goes back and forth with my reviewers or my program staff, they might be changing the application. Likewise, I might be refining my criteria, in which case that score could change over time. The next thing it displays here is the flagged items. Now, these are not scored items. These are things like maybe there's a community I want to target, and so I'm not going to score on it, but it's something I want to be noted about. I want to be mindful about, okay, this is going to maybe an underserviced area as opposed to an overserviced area. So even though I'm not changing the score because the application is still the way it is, it's something to be mindful of. So again, we got this flagged items here, things that are strong about the application. And then here's more things about the AI thought might be weaknesses in the application. So for example, it calls it again here, the financial management and internal controls seemed a bit weak in this application. So maybe I want to be mindful of that when me as a reviewer looks at this. If I go down a little further here, these are the criteria that I've defined myself. at the bottom. So you may have different criteria for every program you run. It all depends on what's important to you and what you want the AI to analyze. So you would define these, and I'll show you how I did it in a second. Um, and again, I'll give these all a score out of 1 to 10. And then you can pick a weight. So again, here, the goal was more important to me than a lot of the other things I wanted to check on. So I gave it I doubled the weight on that one. So I give it a higher percentage in the overall score. It'll give you a confidence rating. And if I click on the details, the AI will tell you why it gave you that 4. So it gives you a justification here and how confident it was that 4 is the right answer. Because, sometimes, it won't be as confident as other times. And so it kind of gives you that justification right here. Now I'll show you the back end real quick, just to see this. So if I go to the UTA or module and I go to the configuration settings on the general tab, and again, we do have to turn this on for you, but once we've enabled it for you, you can go in and configure it yourself. This is the setting here for application analysis. And the first level here is the sets. So think about this as you have one set for every kind or type of application that you have. You don't have to have one for each, but you could do one for each, or you could have one for many. So when you come in here, you give it a name, and then you're going to specify what type of application this is. So maybe, arts and culture have one set of criteria you want to analyze, whereas maybe women's empowerment is another one. Then down here, you're going to pick the status. So what status will this analysis run on? So the status is kind of your place and time. Uh, and so maybe for you on submitted, when you submit it, you'll automatically have the AI analysis, do its analysis, give it a score, and sort that list for you. The third setting here is allow view. And what that does is that chooses which users can actually see that tab. So the AI analysis tab I showed you before, you're probably going to want maybe your program staff to be able to see that, but you may not want your applicant, well, certainly not your applicant, because you don't want them to game their application based on it. And you may not even want to expose that to the reviewers. Again, that's up to you and your business process. But certainly you can control who gets to see that tab. And then lastly here, you pick what information the AI gets to look at when it's analyzing. So again, I'm not going to put in things like people's names or other things like that that might bias anything. I just want to put in the information that I want the AI to look at. So again, I pick whatever fields I want the AI to look at, and then it'll only look at those fields. And as John mentioned, all this information, it doesn't go out to any external LLMs or anything like that. It's all within our infrastructure here. So that was the main tab of the set. If I come into the set itself, here's the criteria that I defined. So again, this would be totally different for you based on what's important to you, but you would come in here and you set different criteria. So these are the things you want the AI to look at. So here I said I want to look at the goal alignment. I want to basically evaluate how is this application oriented towards what my program is trying to achieve. Is there a match there? And then I went a little further and I actually defined the rubric of how I wanted the AI to score it, when I'd give them a 4 versus a 2. So again, I've done that extra step. You don't have to do that. That's just me being a little extra. Down here as well, you can put in files as well that the AI can take into evaluation. So maybe there's some domain name expertise that's needed because you're doing a medical grant and the AI needs to know something. Again, you can put supporting files in here to help the AI do a better job of analyzing based on the criteria you define. So this one was a scoring criteria. It's gives you a score from 1 to 10. We've also got a yes/no criteria where you get either 10 for yes, 0 for no. And then, as I said, we have a flag, which is just for things you might want to be mindful of, but aren't going to affect the overall score. And the last thing I want to show you on this, and again, I can go into more detail about it in a little bit, is how I did this. So first of all, if you just look at the list view itself, and I go to columns on the list view builder here, you can see we have a standard field called AI application analysis score, where I added that. And then what I've done is I've sorted based on that to give me a list so I can prioritize where my reviewer might want to spend their effort first. And then if I wanted to, I can hide that column as well. So no one else sees it, but it still sorts on it. So again, that could be something that you might want to do. One more thing to call out with release notes now that they've moved to the Support Hub, we did spend a lot of time kind of putting these together for you, so it does go into quite a lot of depth. And I want to show you something I think is really cool here on this one about the AI analysis. Is if we scroll to the very bottom of this one, there's actually a let me see if I get the right one here. Yeah, there's actually a tutorial here where it shows you exactly how I configured it. You can just walk through the steps and actually click the buttons to really help you out. So again, I think it's a really cool addition now that we're moving these things over. The next thing I want to talk about is the summarization. So here I talked about the analysis, where you had this tab. Um, and like I said, this might be good for your program staff, but let's say you've got someone else who's coming in who wants to review this application, but you don't want them to see a score. You don't want them, you may not want them to see all the other information. What you can do really quickly and easily is have a summary generated. Just to kind of orient people on what's in this application, what's this application about, instead of reading through the whole thing, you can kind of get a quick gist of it. So this works very similar to the other one. The controls are also very similar. Um, one of the other upsides on this one is you can actually just regenerate this on the fly. You don't have to pick a status for when to have this run. But it gives you that kind of broad overview. So I'll show you real quick from the back end how this works. Same idea, submission manager, configuration settings. I drop down to the bottom here where I have application summary. Same idea, you have sets of summaries that you can make. Um, and once you drill into it, again, I can pick which grants get the summary. I can choose this is optional, so I don't have to do it, but if I want to, I can. I can choose when it runs automatically, or I can just generate it on the fly. Who gets to see that summary? And again, you might want to have the summary for the reviewers and for an external reviewer, whereas the program staff, you might want to have them uh, see the kind of the full analysis. So you have that robust ability to choose how much you want. And then down here, you pick from three predefined prompts. So all of these are going to generate about 2 to 3 sentences, a quick summary of that application. The intent here is a quick summary is more something you might want for a brief kind of intake to look it over. The reviewer summary is something more for someone who's going to be focused on reviewing it, and a strength-focused summary is more for something where it's not going to give you any opinions at all. It's just going to say, hey, these are, we think, the strong points about this application. So again, depending on what kind of response you want in the summary, you have 3 choices. And like the other one, again, I can pick what I want summarized, so I don't have to include all that information. I already talked about configuration change management, so I'm going to skip over that. We'll do want to talk about Smart Search. So what I've done is I've enabled Smart Search, which we do kind of call query offload internally. But what this does is it allows me to see hundreds of thousands of records and very quickly, in a very short order. So again, it's a much more efficient way of taking all the data, and it flattens that data and makes it available to you so that when you're calling it in list views and reports, those things load really, really fast. You know, so again, this is something that you can turn on in this release as long as you are in Canada, America, Europe, with the exclusion of the UK, and not available in Australia yet. But again, if you're in Canada, US, or Europe, excluding the UK, then you can turn this on right now, and you can start using it, and it will really make all of your list views go much faster. It helps system performance improve. It's a great improvement. There's a few things to note about it. First off, um, it uses the default buttons, so they'll always appear in the first column there. If you had multiple data in the same columns, like first name and last name, and you weren't using the full name option, again, it's going to take only one piece of data per column. But otherwise, it just really kind of speeds up your performance, and it's something that we're going to roll out to everyone eventually. So I do encourage you to start planning for turning this on if you haven't already turned it on, and I'll show you how you can turn it on. If I go to global settings, um, down here, enable Smart Search for list views. You can turn that on. You can exclude any fields like the JSON fields that you might not want included in there. And then it takes that data, it flattens it out, and then when the list views go, they reference that near real-time data, and it returns it very, very quickly because it's been positioned in such a way that it makes it so much faster and better. Also with that as well, because it is near real time, and I'm just going to highlight this as well in case people don't remember this from the last one. We do have this place in our global settings called System Insights. And what this does is it lets you see what's kind of going on in the background of your system. So you can see if you've got a lot of emails queued up and you can watch as that goes down. Likewise, if you have a bunch of workflows or the deferred processes in your system that are running, you can kind of see that backlog and you can watch it trend down over time. Again, because I turn on Smart Search, as I said, so Smart Search is taking that data from the main database, it's kind of putting that, flattening it out and making it available for those list views and for reports in this one. And so if there's any data that hasn't already moved over right away, you can again see that here. Your API calls, and I'm going to get to data extraction in a couple of minutes as well, even like your user login. So all this information is right here. Nice to see the insights of what's going on in the background of your system if you have never done that. Next thing I want to talk about is our global search. So I've turned on the global search here, and I guess let me back up. So typically, if I want to find a user or I want to find an organization, or maybe I want to find a specific record, I'd have to go to those places. I'd have to go look up the users or look up the organizations, or I go look up, if I want a grant application, I go into my submission manager and look those up. But if I want a program, I go in there. So you were kind of dispersed on where you had to go to find these pieces of information. With this release, we've added the ability to surface the global search. So when I turn it on here, you can see I've got my header here with all my links will disappear. The search covers it over it, and then I can do a search. So this search is going to go across all my organizations. So I can see an organization. It's going to look through all my users and all my tracking applications. And because I have Smart Search on, which this is dependent on, you can see how fast that is. So I'm going to search all my records. And then once I've searched those records, if I want to refine that search further, again, I can say, well, I'm only interested in stuff in the submission manager on the level 1. Or I can say, well, I want art in the name, but I also am looking for things that have to do with local. So I say that, I refine my search, and then there's that record I was looking for. And I can click that record, open it up, and jump right to there. All right, so that is a global search, and I'll show you how you turn that on. I can close that up. You can see I open it and close it like that. So if I go to global settings, I go to security, system feature permissions, and it's features. If I look for a global search, I can enable global search here. Now, my suggestion is that you would want to do this for your internal staff, probably, not something I'd want to surface for my applicants. But again, it will take in your permissions, so you're not going to see anything that you shouldn't see there. You do need to have Smart Search on, and again, I recommend it for internal. The next thing I want to talk about was the Outlook add-in. And I guess to talk about that, I first have to talk about interactions. So here I go to my profile, and you can see I have interactions. So interactions are all those kind of things where me as the foundation might be talking with the applicant, and I want to preserve all those conversations, those emails, the things that are happening between us. Now I can see them all here in a list, but I can also go into the graph and see them here. So I can see there was an email, I had a site visit, maybe I had a phone call with them. I can see them graphically, and I can see it down here. Now with this release, we've added the ability with an Outlook add-in to also create these. So let's say somebody emailed me. So here I am, I got an email, let's say they emailed me, I'm like, oh, I want to add this to my interactions. I can do that really easily. I click on my apps, I set up my SmartSimple app. Oh, I have to set my token here. My apologies. Let's see if I do this. Oh, sorry. Anyway, I set up my app. I should test this before I came. I set up my app, and I would say create interaction, and then the interaction would be created. It would appear right in here. So again, there is a bit of a setup for the Outlook add-in, but once you have it set up the one time, it'll keep working, and you can create those in here. I did create this one a little earlier from an email. So here I've got the message from the email body goes into here. My email had an image in it, so the image got attached here, which I can then see. And then I'd added a note to my interaction as well. So that note from Outlook comes right in here into the notes, and then I can keep adding to those notes along with the other information that I want to add to this interaction. So again, that's available. There's step-by-step instructions in the release notes for that. And the next thing I want to talk about was the data extraction API that I think was the last thing that John talked about. And this is, again, really for those people who, let's say they want to do some business intelligence. Uh, they basically they've got Power BI or some other tool and they want to pull that data out. They want to do some analysis on it, or maybe they want to do some integration with it where you just want to pull that data. So instead of doing a full data dump or using the archive scheduler to grab all the data every night, I can go very specifically and target what I want for data and get that returned very quickly. So first thing I'm going to do here, every system will have this. There's a page. Again, there's instructions on the release notes, but it'd be whatever your instance URL is, goes here with this on the top of it. And then if I come in here and I put my token in there. Boom, I'm authorized. Now I can pull things like the health data from my system. I can also pull information like the user data, the um, company data. I can pull in level 1, 2, 3 information. So I can pull all this information. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to show you this. So the idea is this is just kind of for demonstration purposes where you can try out this extraction API and see how it works, but you would need some technical expertise to be able to kind of pull this and use it for your integrations. But let me just show you how I do this, a simple example. So here I'm going to put my root key. So this is on my instance. This is the company ID. I'm going to look for users. And then what I want is I want something different than this example here. I'm going to put in a different schema. So I'm going to say, I want to see a list of people by first name with their emails sorted by the first name. And I only want to see people that were modified this year. So I say, okay, that's what I want. I hit execute. You can see very quickly I got back that information. So here's my post. And if I scroll down here, I can see the response that came back. So I can see here's what I had 5 people that were created this year on my system. Here's their names and their email addresses. So again, really quick and easy way to test this out and something you could use for all of your BI and intelligence instead of kind of doing full data dumps. So this is a little different than the Smart Connect API because the Smart Connect API, you're updating things. This is more of a read only. I'm going to grab stuff really quickly. This is also dependent on Smart Search. But you can pull that data very quickly and then use it for your BI and other items. All right. So I'm going to put maybe 2 more things, and then I just want to open up to questions to make sure we have enough time. Actually, so in fact, I'll do maybe one more thing. I just wanted to show you for anyone who's using the NACE. We did add a new custom field for 2.1. We also have 2.0. This is really a classification system for economic activities used within the European community. So again, you can come in here and you can pick from the new settings. We didn't migrate over from 2.0 to 2.1 because the categorizations and the structure is different, but you can add that custom field. And then John already mentioned the ABN has a bunch of new um, both a new way of doing some verification and a whole bunch of new information in that for our Australian friends. Everything else is listed under the administrators, but I think let's just jump over to the questions so I have enough time to answer a few of these before we.
Yeah, fortunately, there's just a few, so
Okay.
they may be rolling in. I might have just jinxed myself. But the first question is, with regards to external LLM, does this mean that those on dedicated servers will also receive a dedicated model if adding AI functionality to ensure privacy?
Uh, it's going to a model within our infrastructure. So no, the model is within the SmartSimple infrastructure itself. It's not. Yeah, and it's hosted within your jurisdictions. So, for example, it would be in Germany or in North America, but no, it wouldn't be a separate server on your dedicated environment.
Yeah.
It's with, yeah.
Yeah. Next question. Will the global search find entries and notes within a grant record?
I'd have to test that one. I'm not sure, but you can always follow up with support and we can get you a proper answer for it.
Okay.
I know level 1s, 2s, 3s, organizations and users are included.
Yeah.
Not sure about the notes.
Yeah. Next question. Are interactions limited to contact profiles? Can they be associated to a grant application, for example?
Yes. So kind of. So they'll appear on your user profile. They can appear on the organization profile. And when I do these, I can associate them. So I can come in here and I can associate it with an application. So for example, here I picked my UTA and I picked my level one record. So you can associate them, but they don't just show up on those records right now. So again, that's probably something for the Idea Lab if that's something you need. So you access them through the user of the organization. They're more like user organization activities currently.
Uh, or the global search, you go to global search slash security and what else?
Mhm. Oh, sorry. Yeah, let me say that again. I know I went quick. So global settings, security, system feature permissions, features, and then if I scroll down to global search, then I can turn this on. I can pick which roles will have access, which roles can see this. But you do need to have Smart Search on, otherwise you won't see this. It's dependent on Smart Search being enabled because it uses that to find all the information.
Next question, is there a limit on the number of records that the data extraction API can handle?
I'm not aware of one. So yeah, again, it's meant for this kind of because it's read only and it's based off of Smart Search. It should be able to handle it much more, much faster than the regular API because you're not doing updates and it's built a little differently. And all that documentation is we have some documentation and information here as well.
Another question about the global search. Is the global
Mhm.
search only for application titles, or does it search the high-level fields such as geographical location, for example?
Uh, I believe it searches the stuff inside. Again, I'd have to test. We're just showing this because these are common fields, but I believe it does search the information inside them as well. But again, we can kind of dig into that offline.
Is there a way to add user instructions on a notes page?
Not currently. Again, that's probably a good idea for the Idea Lab. Let's- Um, yeah, we don't have any instructions there, but I'd like to kind of better understand the use case on that one. But yeah, right now you get your notes here, and you can create your notes. You can reply, edit to your notes. Now, again, some of our clients, so those in the insurance spaces and things like that, what they may do, if I come down here into notes, is they may have disabled note replies and tagging, as you can also tag people as well, where I can say, hey, at John, um, in there. But some people may have disabled that. So what I'm really talking about here is people who have not disabled this. But yes, there's no notes, no messaging around the notes instructions.
Next question. Can you indicate when Smart Search will be available in the UK? And I'll answer this one, Mark. I know there were at least one or two other questions out there. So and I know we have it somewhere in the deck, but we may have gone through it quickly. Today with Smart Search, both the UK and Australia are areas that we do not have coverage for. The question is when will we have coverage? I don't have an answer today. It is something that we're working on. What I would ask would be that if you're interested in Smart Search, please reach out to your SmartSimple representative. They'll connect with us, and we'll make sure as soon as we identify that time frame, you will be notified so that you'll be able to check it out.
Cool. Did we actually
Okay.
get it in time?
Well, there are no other
Remember?
questions. Not that I'm challenging anybody to add a bunch more, but if you do have questions, we have 5 minutes. That's still a lot of time. Feel free to throw any questions in there. We'll
Yep.
give it a minute or two here to see if anybody has questions.
And like I said, the release notes are going to start living here on Support Hub. And again, I'm going to call out just while we're here for 2 more seconds. If you go to your user menu here and you go to support, we did update this page as well so that you have a link directly to the support hub. And if you have been set up with through support to authenticate in here, you'll actually be able to see your tickets and things up here. Otherwise, you can jump to releases and then go in here. So again, something you might want to bookmark. You can access it through your system. Um, yeah.
All right. Mark, can I take over the slide? I just wanted to
Yeah, 100%.
actually go just move the slides. All right. There are a couple other questions. So before I go through the last slide, let's see, I'm trying, there's a typo here. Can the data extract API handle file attachments?
I'm not sure. We have to get back to you on that one as well.
Yeah.
Maybe reach out to support or your CS and we'll get you an answer to that one.
Yeah. Um, is this webinar be accessible if we require a review of the demo? Yes, you will be receiving a recording, if not today, by tomorrow with today's recording. So you'll have access. And another question, is there a space to interact with other SmartSimple users to share ideas and solutions, or is it just the support desk? That is a great question, Jane. We do have the Compass site that is used sparingly. It's been used for user groups and other events. There is a discussion about leveraging the Compass capability to drive community. We do have a big initiative, if you haven't seen anything, around a more formalized community. So I don't have a lot of details to share today, but I will say that we will have more options to drive community, because to me, that's our secret sauce, is getting everybody together, everybody communicating, and getting that kind of feedback. So stay tuned, and we will have some updates on that front.
Yep.
Let's see. Another question. Can you explain more of the toggle on feature for the photo library field?
Yeah, sure. I'll just have to share my screen again there, John. Give me, you have to allow me. There you go. Let's see here. Yeah. So yeah, if you have upload multiple file storage field, if you scroll down, um, there is a section for media library. You can enable media library. Again, this is an opt-in feature. So if it's something you want, you do have to reach out to us to turn it on for the whole system. But once it's turned on, then any of these fields you want, you can turn this on, and then you get all sorts of different options here. For example, I can control what kind of metadata will show up underneath here, which you can then fill in this way. So I can add my own custom fields under here. So if I want to say, what genre of movie this is, or what materials were used for making this artwork, for example, is this paint on canvas, or is whatever. Like you can customize whatever you want here, and the list of all that information in it as well. So hopefully that helps.
All right, I'm going to take back over just because I know we're almost at time. So to end today's session, just wanted to highlight a few things. We mentioned that the key release is going out the 18th. The backup actually is going out this evening, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mark. I think it's this evening.
I think it went yesterday, actually. Sorry, it went last night. So key release gets it this morning. So
Okay.
if you go to backup now, you'll see it if you're on key release. Yeah.
And then the production update for the global release is July 9th.
Correct.
Couple key things that I ask you to do. Mark already mentioned it. Please go out to the support hub. We're shifting, off of the wiki to the support hub. We're still in somewhat of a transition, so both exist, but the focus is to get everything over to the support hub, which I think is a much better tool, better formatting, better content. We'd love to get your feedback on that. Check out the global search and any of the other features that we talked about, that you have access to. And then the other thing I want to mention, Mark and I and the team are doing another in-depth workshop, this one specifically around project budgets. This is the budget that you may have between the grantor and the grantee, to sort of manage any conditions and the costs going forward. we want to build something a little bit more out of the box than is there today, leveraging the advanced data table or other mechanisms that may require a higher configuration. So if you have any interest, reach out to your SmartSimple representative and let them know that you're interested. We're going to look for at least a handful of customers to start having these discussions later next month as we try to initially define the design for something that we want to try to deliver here in the next release or two. And that's it. I did post a link in the chat, just if you want any additional information on some of these features, feel free to fill out that form just for a formal follow-up. But as always, feel free to reach out to your representative or to us if you have any additional questions. I know we squeezed a lot into this session, so thank you everybody for your time. I hope this was informative for you. And again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. With that said,
Can I just answer one
yeah,
more question real quick before we cut it off, just in case anyone wants to see this? So there was a quick question I just want to show. You can see my screen here. Yeah, perfect. So if you go to your user menu support, down here I'll say release schedule. So everyone go into their system and actually see what release schedule on it, because some people are like, am I on key release? Am I on global release? Am I dedicated? Again, if you come here, mine says QA because this is a test server, but you'll see global, key, dedicated right here. So again, if you're wondering which one recycle you're in, that's an easy way to find it on your own system. That was it.
yeah, and I see just a couple other questions, Okan, about the Compass link site. I don't have it quickly available here, but I will make sure when we talk to marketing about the follow-up emails, I'll see if we can add the Compass link into that email so that when you get the reporting, it'll also include the Compass link. I think with that said, I know we're a few minutes over. Apologize for going over. But again, everybody have a great day and reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you.
Have a good